Welcome back, Mets fans, to another week of Raise the Apple. The streak is finally over. The Mets have snapped their 12-game losing streak, and they won two in a row, closing out the series with the Twins, and then fell yesterday in the opener against the Rockies. Today's game postponed, doubleheader tomorrow. McLean on the mound for at least one of those games. Senga was supposed to start today. Maybe he'll start game two. It hasn't been decided yet, or at least that I've seen. But the streak is over. That's all that matters. The losing streak is finally over, and now that that hump has been, the Mets have snapped the skid. Now they can get on a roll and hopefully get things going, but it didn't come with some consequences. Juan Soto comes back, the streak ends, but Francisco Lindor is on the injured list for the foreseeable future, at least until mid-May. And at first, it was thought Lindor's injury was similar to Soto's, except it is a little worse. So he'll be out a little longer than Soto was, which sucks. But Ronnie Mauricio is up. This is his time to shine. This is his opportunity to get some playing time, and hopefully he can take full advantage of it. I really like Ronnie Mauricio long-term with this team. It's just tough finding a spot for him, especially with Lindor at shortstop and Bichette at third and Semien at second. It's just trying to find consistent playing time for him, and I think that this is a perfect opportunity for the Mets to see what he's got and try and move forward with that. But again, the streak is over. Last night against the Rockies sucked. It would have been nice to win three in a row and kind of get some mojo back, but I mean, Freddie Peralta had a good start. Sean Manaea was pretty solid out of the bullpen. Peralta and Manaea combined for 15 strikeouts, I think it was. And really, that big hit was from the Rockies was the ball to Semien with the infield playing in and the hot shot right back to him. It's one of those instances where it's a play Semien can make, but I'm also not upset he didn't make the play, because when you have the infield in and it's a hard ground ball like that, it's very difficult to turn the play on that. So I really can't fault him there. But I'm sure Semien knows or feels that he could have gotten that one. So again, it would have been nice, but if they just keep winning series, obviously you can't expect to sweep every single time, especially with this weaker part of the schedule that the Mets are on. 2 out of 3. Mets keep winning 2 out of 3. I think that'll slowly add up. The thing about this losing streak that stuck out the most to me, the Phillies have lost 10 in a row. The Mets were so bad over the last 2.5 weeks that no one is even batted an eye at the fact that the Phillies have lost 10 in a row. I thought they won last night. I looked and I was very wrong. It's just, imagine that's how bad the Mets were. That the Phillies, who were the co-favorites probably with the Mets and the Braves to not only win the division at the start of the year, but to be in the conversation to take down the Dodgers. At the same time as the Mets' 12-game losing streak, they have their own 10-game losing streak, and no one's talking about it. That's just how bad the Mets have been over the last 2.5 weeks. But now that the streak is over, they can get back on track. Now everyone's got their eyes locked on the Phillies and how long that streak's going to go. And really, during this streak, the pitching hasn't been overly terrible. It's been more the offense grossly underperforming, to me at least. Yes, there have been blunders in the pitching. Senga's been rough. Peterson's been rough. And the bullpen has had its moments. But also, the offense has been grossly underperforming. Bo Bichette's been a lot better the past few games since getting moved into the leadoff spot. But the offense has been very disappointing, and I think having Soto back is going to help that. But again, as the Mets broadcast was saying, and as Mendoza said, having Soto back helps, but I also don't think that it is like the savior. Like, they need more guys to step up. They need more than Alvy and Bichette to be hitting. I know Vientos and Bench has had a very good past couple of games. Vientos has as well. Same with Beatty. So hopefully the young guys can help pick it up a little bit and get this offense moving a little bit. Speaking of Soto, I made a TikTok video about it, but we can go more in depth about it. The comment that he made is being blown so grossly out of proportion But anytime Juan Soto says something, it always is. So I'm really not surprised. So if you didn't hear it, basically, in summary, he was asked during the losing streak, did he talk to any of the teammates? And he said no. He hasn't really talked to any of them. And his reasoning was because they were on the road for most of the time, which is true. So here's where I think it's being blown out of proportion. When in baseball, I'm sure it's very similar to other sports, but I only know baseball. I know baseball more than I know other sports, so I can only speak on in the baseball world. When you're on the injured list, you don't typically travel with the team. And the Mets were on the road for much of this 12-game road trip, especially out in the West Coast during this time. When you are hurt, you are back in your home city, in this case, your home team city. So Soto's in New York. He's rehabbing. He's doing his thing. He's kind of isolated from the team a little bit because he's trying to get better. And then when the team comes back home, you'll see those guys sometimes in the dugout, like last night. The last couple nights, actually, Lindor's been in the dugout. Polanco's been in the dugout. You typically see the guys that are injured for home games in the dugout, but they don't travel with the team because that roster spot is filled, and they're not going to bring you when you can't do anything. They're not going to bring you. It's very normal in baseball for this to be the case. People making it a big deal because it's the New York media, because it's the Mets, and for some reason we're still having this conversation of Juan Soto regrets picking the Mets over the Yankees, and he was only chasing the money, and Yankees fans can't even seem to comprehend that Soto has left them, and they won't let it go for some reason. And a lot of the comments were like, oh, he couldn't text or call him or FaceTime him. What are they in high school? These are Major League Baseball players. These are professional athletes. These are grown adults. They don't need to be shooting a text back and forth with each other. And Soto has never been that kind of rah-rah guy. We talked about that last week with Mendy. He's not really that rah-rah, in-your-face type. He's kind of quiet, keeps to himself, does his own thing. It just seems like the media is trying to paint Soto as this horrible teammate and this horrible locker room presence. But then you saw yesterday some of the clips that SNY was putting out. Him learning a new handshake with Ronnie Mauricio. When Bench hit the home run the other night against the Twins, you see how excited he was for Bench as when Bench was running into the dugout and Soto was in the on-deck circle. There's this notion that Soto hates being a Met, regrets leaving the Yankees, it's just so tired. I'm so sick of hearing it. And Yankees fans just need to deal with it. Baseball fans just need to deal with it. He picked the Mets over the Yankees, regardless of what the reasoning was. Just deal with it. I saw a clip of Yankees fans the other day. They were physically in Yankee Stadium. This was when the Mets got walked off by the Cubs. They were physically in Yankee Stadium during the game, and on their phone, they're sitting there watching the Mets get walked off by the Cubs. Why, when you are physically at Yankee Stadium, one of the most historic, well-known ballparks and stadiums in all of professional sports, one of the most well-known franchises in professional sports, you spend all that money, all that time to get to the game, and you are spending that time, instead of watching the game that you are paying to be at, you are watching your crosstown rival on the road lose. To me, that's crazy behavior, but that's just how Yankees fans are. It's the narrative of this big brother, little brother thing, I think, is so dumb, but it really has switched. Forever, the Yankees were the quote-unquote, or the Mets were the quote-unquote little brother, and now it is starting to change a little bit because guys are preferring to go to the Mets over the Yankees. Soto, so the offer of the Yankees, I believe it was like $5 or $10 million less the Yankees offer was than the Mets, and he chose the Mets. Guys rather would be with the Mets than with the Yankees. The Yankees barely made any major changes to their team from last year. The Mets, as we know, overhauled their entire roster. The momentum in New York is starting to shift, where the Mets are getting more and more popular, and people are getting more and more, for lack of a better word, quote-unquote, exhausted of the Yankees. And Soto is kind of the swing man in that conversation. I just think that this notion of Soto regretting leaving the Yankees and regretting leaving Judge, and he's a horrible teammate and he's a horrible person in the clubhouse and blah 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 blah. It's so tired to me. I'm so sick of hearing it. Like, I don't he can't win. And obviously when you're getting paid $765 million, all the eyes of the world are on you when things don't go well. If the Mets are winning, first of all, I didn't like that question being asked by the reporter, because if the Mets are winning, that question's not even being asked or even a thought. The only reason that question is being asked is because the Mets are losing. So, and you see a lot of other baseball commentators talking about the Mets lack an identity, a leader, and an identity in that locker room because of so many new faces, and because of some drama with Lindor and with Steve Cohen's comments over the offseason that no one is going to be officially named captain, which I think did prove to the point where the unofficial captain stuff was some sort of an issue in the locker room last year. I'm starting to ramble a little bit, but I think that the notion that Soto hates being a Met, regrets leaving the Yankees, and is a horrible teammate it's just so tired to me. I'm so sick of hearing it. Like, just deal with it. He chose the Mets over the Yankees, went and got his money. He's been performing with the Mets. He's got on base in every single game this year. He had a 40-30 year. Last year was two stolen bases away from a 40-40 season last year. He's doing fine. Yankees fans just got to suck it up and deal with it. I don't understand where this notion continues. I don't know why it continues, and I'm just frankly sick of hearing about it. So that's just the way New York media works. So across all sports, this isn't unique to baseball, but that's just kind of how it goes. I mean, it could be worse. You could have Jazz Chisholm last night with the ABS, one of the worst ABS appeals I've ever seen, and he was just dumbfounded as to why I don't know if it was why he challenged that or why that pitch was a strike or what the case was, but that was just a whole mess. But the Mets are the Mets. They just got to find their footing in this year. I mean, 12 game losing streak. The fact that a 12-game losing streak is only the 6th longest in franchise history is what's crazy to me. The fact that there have been 5 other instances where the Mets have gone longer without winning, and I know the longest was from 1962, their first year as a team. That first year Mets team was notoriously known as one of the worst baseball teams ever until the Rockies last year kind of gave them a run for their money. It was a rough 2.5 week stretch, but they got the win, and that's all that matters. Now they can get back on track. Now they have the stigma of no team has lost 12 games in regular season and made the postseason. The good news for the Mets is that it is April. Making up, rebounding, and getting back into the win column after losing 12 in a row in April is a hell of a lot easier than getting back on the groove in September when you lose 12 in a row. Because if I pull up the standings right now, Mets are 9.5 games back in the division. The Braves are playing fantastic, which, I mean, 9.5 in the division. There is time to make that up, but that is a lot of ground to make up. And then when you look in the wild card picture, they're only 6 games back. We're a week from May, and they're only 6 games back from a playoff spot. Obviously, you have a lot of teams to jump, and 6 games, obviously, it's not going to be an easy feat for the Mets to overcome, but it is doable, and it is in the realm of possibility and realistic, especially with this part of the schedule where it softens. This is the time to capitalize and try and get some momentum going again, get back to 500, and then kind of roll from there. But this is the time, if the team was going to have a 12-game losing streak, now is the time for that to happen. Because now I think the Mets can recover from it, and they have time to get back on track and get back in the playoff race. First step is getting back to 500. Once you get back to 500, then you can start picking off teams in the standings one at a time and then try and move your way back up. The division is going to be a lot tougher, especially with how well the Braves have been playing out of the gate. But with the Phillies on their own 10-game losing streak, it is possible to get back into this thing. And the Lindor injury sucks. So they're going to need other guys to step up. They can't be Soto and McLean carrying the next month and a half until Lindor comes back. But, I mean, I like the position the Mets are in now that they've ended the skid. Entering this weekend, we're with the Rockies. Today was supposed to be Senga versus Quintana. Tomorrow is McLean on the mound. I don't know if Senga and Quintana are going to pitch tomorrow. I would assume they would. Maybe they won't. The Mets need Kodai Senga to figure it out. His spring training was great. His first start looked good. His second start was mid, and then it's been just a dumpster fire ever since. The Mets need Senga to step up if they are going to make a run in October. Obviously, you can't rely on Freddie Peralta, Clay Holmes, come playoff time, Freddie Peralta, Clay Holmes, Nolan McLean. Those are the three you're probably going to run with. I think Senga has a huge role on this team, especially come the playoffs. He's just got to figure it out. When the Ghost Fork is working, he's unhittable. But when it's not working, he's getting teed off left and right. And that's what opposing teams are seeing. Hey, is his Ghost Fork on today or not? If it's on, we're in trouble. If it's not, we can shell him. And I just need Senga to figure it out. I really want Senga to figure it out. And hopefully he does. One thing that kind of to wrap up this episode I wanted to talk about is it's definitely a hot take. Our good old pal Trevor Bauer is somewhat back. He's playing for the Long Island Ducks in the Independent League. Mets fans know the Long Island Ducks very well in terms of Mets alumni that have played for that team or Mets have grabbed guys from that team. Here's my hot take. Trevor Bauer will be with the Major League Baseball team by, I want to say July, but we'll say the All-Star break. By the All-Star break, Trevor Bauer will be with the Major League Baseball team. I know he's had it's been a little rough over in Japan or Korea, wherever he's been. Coming back to the Long Island Ducks, now that he's back on stateside, I would not be surprised if a team takes a flyer on him. Now, no one is questioning the talent when it comes to Trevor Bauer. The question that teams are going to have is it worth the negative backlash that they are going to get by bringing on Trevor Bauer? Now, Bauer, obviously in court, was not criminally proven of anything. He was proven innocent in court from that aspect. Obviously, people still have their sour taste in their mouth about that whole situation. And then he's just very vocal and very opinionated and not afraid to say it, which I personally don't mind. I'd rather people be real and authentic. But bashing the league the way he has in the past, and it's just a team is going to have to ask themselves, is it worth the negative PR that they are going to get and the backlash probably they're going to get from some fans from bringing in Trevor Bauer? But if you're a team that's on the fringe, I'll just use the Pirates as an example. The Pirates, I'm not saying the Pirates are going to do this, but just as the sake of an example. If the Pirates, right now we're in a playoff spot, come mid-season, they are still in a playoff spot, or maybe they're a game or two back of a wild card spot. You're trying to capitalize with Paul Skeens. You're trying to capitalize with Connor Griffin. You have O'Neal Cruz having a great year offensively. Would a team like the Pirates be like, hey, we need another pitcher? Trevor Bauer is proven successful big leaguer. The Pirates are a team that already doesn't care about the negative publicity they get because they get it all the time just because of their ownership. Why not bring in Trevor Bauer, help us out, help us down the stretch, and get us into the postseason? Trevor Bauer is the ultimate competitor too. So he's going to want to go onto a winning team or a team that is, if not in the postseason picture, on the cusp of the postseason picture and try and help them win. That's just the personality that I think he has. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but again, that's why it's a hot take. I would not be surprised if by the All-Star break, Trevor Bauer is on a Major League Baseball team. And would I be surprised if it were the Mets? No, because the Mets were very close to getting him. If Mets fans remember, when the Mets and Dodgers were the last two teams in on Bauer, and there was a whole thing with he wanted to announce it, and the store was released early, and it was a Mets-themed store, and he was going to pick the Mets because of someone on his team messed up. The Mets were very in the middle, in the picture of him, of getting him. And so if the Mets were the team that were to bring him on, I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't hate that. I mean, there are, to me, again, I've said it before, probably talked about Bauer. You're innocent until proven guilty. Trevor Bauer's proven innocent in court, and there are guys in the league that have been proven of just as bad, if not worse, things than Bauer, and they are still in the league. So I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but why are fans, oh, Marcell Ozuna's in the league, we're all okay with this, but Trevor Bauer wants to get back in the league, and now everyone has a problem. It's like you have to be consistent. It's how I feel with the Hall of Fame with the PED guys. You need to set the standard. You need to let them all in or let none of them in. You can't pick, oh, this guy can get in because of this reason, this guy can't get in because of this reason. No. With PED guys in the Hall of Fame, they all need to get in or none of them need to get in. And same thing goes with guys who get in off the field issues. The NFL has a bigger problem with this than Major League Baseball. But when they get in off the field issues, okay, as fans, are we going to outcast all of them, or are we going to pick and choose which ones we want to outcast, and the rest of them, oh, they're back in the league, fine, whatever, it is what it is. So that's where kind of I stand on that. But that is pretty much it for this week. The Mets have snapped the skid, and that is something to be excited about and something to celebrate. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you follow on TikTok at RTA_pod. Stay tuned for more stuff coming this summer. Make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. It was a good episode today. Thank you for tuning in, and let's go Mets.